Hey everyone, my name's Caleb Drawdy. I am a solutions architect with Arrow ECS. We're a distributor supporting the channel, and I am dedicated to the VMware product line, and I specialize on the VMware end-user computing products. So today we're going to do a high-level overview of what is Workspace ONE. And so to demo this and show you what this is, I'm going to use a demo environment called TestDrive, which is a fully integrated lab environment that VMware provides partners, distributors, and customers for proof of concepts. So within TestDrive, there is Workspace ONE, there's Horizon, as well as AirWatch. And so I'm going to show each one of those components today, just so we can see what each one of these products looks like, the functionality that it provides, so that we can be better equipped to have customer conversations and such. So to get started, Workspace ONE is what VMware terms the digital workspace. And it brings together two concepts. The first concept is consumer simplicity. So with our personal devices, whether it be an iOS device or an Android device, we've become very used to things and very accustomed to things just working. It being simple to access our email and our contacts and any of the data or resources that we use personally. So we're used to how simple those things are. But in the enterprise, companies and businesses demand security. And up until now, security hasn't coincided with simplicity. It typically brings along a bunch of complexity. And so Workspace ONE brings together both of those concepts, consumer simplicity and enterprise security, and it delivers wherever, whenever, access to data to any device. So to get started, I'm going to log in with my corporate credentials on the Workspace ONE portal. And you can see when I log in, I'm immediately driven to apps that I value straight away. So Workspace ONE aggregates all apps that an employee uses. So whether that's an HR app, email, any app that supports SAML authentication, they're all available to be launched and signed into using a user ID with one click. So here I have my bookmarks tab. And then I also have a catalogs tab. So if I click on the catalog, these are all the apps that I have provisioned to me as a user. And virtually any web, mobile, or cloud app. And I can add these apps to the bookmarks page rather than having to dig through the entire catalog. So I can just click on the bookmark and it will add it to my bookmarks tab. Additionally, I have a search bar up here and it's fully actionable. So if I search, let's search for Notepad, and you can see I already have Notepad right here, but if I want to unbookmark it, I can do so just like that, and it removes it from my bookmark. So this search not only searches, but it's fully actionable, and I can go ahead and launch that from here as well. So if I search for Office 365, I can go ahead and launch directly into that, and I'm single signed on directly into my email. No user credentials, and here I have access to my mail, OneDrive, also have access to the Microsoft suite of Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, etc., etc. Another key feature to keep in mind is if I log out of this Office 365 account and close this window, and if I try to bypass Workspace ONE by going directly to login.microsoftonline.com, and try to log on with my Workspace ONE account, it will then redirect me, single sign on using Workspace ONE, and push me back to login.microsoft. So Workspace ONE and VMware Identity Manager holds the ownership of the credentials. So you can't bypass Workspace ONE, which is a great security feature. So single signed on. This is available across all your devices, so it's a seamless experience across iOS, Android, Windows 10. So yeah, say I needed to get into my email, I just single sign on directly into Office 365. And this uses VMware Identity Manager. So Workspace ONE is the combination of AirWatch, which is mobile device management, VMware Identity Manager, which is the single sign-on component, and Horizon VDI. So compare this log-on experience to what many employees are used to today, remembering multiple sets of credentials, websites, email login info. And if they needed to change a password with Workspace ONE, they just do it on their Workspace ONE user. This Workspace ONE catalog is fully brandable, so you can brand it with your logo, colors, and aesthetic to continue brand consistency. So say you have a project that requires a remote desktop. So here, if I click on my Windows 10 desktop, I'm single signed on. It pushes down to my Horizon View client, and it connects to the Windows 10 desktop. So virtual apps are the same one-click experience that we saw with logging into my Office 365 email. So this is delivered through VMware Horizon, and it removes the need to remember connection strings, credentials, VPN, and connectivity to access virtual desktop. So Horizon allows you to improve VDI deployments and management by reducing the number of images that need to be maintained. This allows a consistent user experience across devices and locations, all while keeping data secure and compliant within the data center. So here I'm delivered a Horizon VDI desktop through a single sign-on experience with Workspace ONE. Next, I want to show app volumes. App volumes are used to deliver applications, and typically this feature is used to deliver these applications when the VDI session is launched. But for the purpose of this demo, we've held off on triggering that install. And so first, just to demo this, I'm going to pull up my Add or Remove Programs window. Open up this full window. Here you can see I have 31 programs currently installed. So I'm going to go and trigger this app volumes script that is going to run the script that typically runs at logon. But I just want to show how quick it is to deliver lots of applications for a user. So say HR users have a certain set of applications, whereas development users have different sets of applications. So as I mentioned, this is typically run at logon. But for the purpose of the demo, to show you the speed and as well as how fast it delivers the number of applications. So I'm going to trigger this, and it's going to take about 15 to 20 seconds. And here we're at 31 programs installed, and you're going to see the desktop behind me refresh with all of these applications right there. And if I refresh my programs, you can see 70, 80. So it went from 31 programs to about 80 programs installed in a matter of about 20 seconds. App Volumes makes it easy to update, manage, and monitor applications across virtual desktops and published app environments. So now I want to show some of the security controls of Workspace ONE. Conditional access is paramount to Workspace ONE, and Workspace ONE puts the user in the driver's seat to determine which devices they want to use, whether that's a corporate device or their own personal bring your own device. And admins need custom security restrictions for each scenario. So Workday, in this instance, requires device registration. So I'm on my personal MacBook here, and this is not registered or enrolled. I'm just logging into the Workspace ONE browser. So if I click on Workday, it's going to single sign on in using VMware Identity Manager, and you're going to see my access is denied because this MacBook is not registered with Workspace ONE. But there's also built-in two-factor authentication. So with VMware Verify, it supports third-party radius and SAML protocols, and it can be enabled for the entire Workspace ONE catalog or on an app-by-app basis. So in this instance, Salesforce requires two-factor authentication. So if I click to launch single sign-on in, and you'll see check VMware Verify app to approve authentication. So here right next to me I have my iPad, and you can see a approval request from the VMware Verify app. And if I open that, I get an approval or a deny window, and I can approve that request, and you'll see here that I am single signed on in directly into Salesforce now that I've verified my two-factor authentication. Intuitive and rapid user onboarding is imperative with Bring Your Own Device. So just the way employees are used to onboarding their new iPhones with iCloud, employees don't want to download an agent and enter environment information to enroll devices to access corporate resources. And fortunately, with Workspace ONE and AirWatch, they don't have to. Instead, employees can download the Workspace ONE app on their device, log in, and start using it to launch entitled apps. And this works on iOS, Android, and Windows 10. So users are presented the same apps and same web apps and experience on desktop. So here, if I close VMware Verify, so by clicking on the Workspace ONE application, you'll see that I'm presented the same web apps and experience on desktop on my iPad. And here, I'll just enter in my email address. And here, I'm delivered the same user experience that I have over here from my web browser to my iPad. You can see I have my catalog in addition to my bookmarks. So one last thing I want to show you is I want to pull up the Horizon session that we had pulled up here on my desktop on my iPad. So if I single sign on into that Windows 10 VDI instance from Workspace ONE, it's going to single sign me on and move me right over to the Horizon client on my iPad. It's going to load that desktop, and it's going to pull in the same session that we were using on my laptop. So users can be working on a VDI session on their laptop and then walk away from their desk and then access it from their iPad to collaborate with other employees. And you can see, this is really slick, but you can see here I have a 3D rendering application that I'm accessing on a virtual desktop that I'm manipulating using an iPad and using my finger to manipulate this 3D rendering application. So next I want to get into some of the AirWatch features of Workspace ONE. So Boxer is a smarter, faster, secure email client that supports Exchange, Office 365, Gmail, and Yahoo. And so it works like any email application, but it is a containerized application for corporate email. And so just to show some basic functionality, I can bulk delete and bulk select. So if I select all three of those with one hand using 3 fingers, I selected all those, and I can do bulk actions. So if I wanted to bulk delete, I can slide to the left. If I wanted to archive, I could slide to the right, and those are gone. Also, if I wanted to quick respond, and I just hit the grid up here in the top right corner underneath the battery, I can do a quick response. And yes, that's a cool feature. Next, if I wanted to do a calendar availability for this call, I can go back to this call or to this email, hit reply, and then down here at the bottom you see this little calendar icon right there. I can send my availability. It integrates with my calendar, and I can select times directly from my calendar. I don't have this calendar populated with any information, but I can select, my times that I'm available this afternoon, hit the check, and I can automatically send this email that says I'm available from 4 to 6, and I can send that. So now I want to jump into AirWatch, and I'm going to log into the AirWatch management console. And for administrators, the moment you log in on the device dashboard, you get a quick look at a lot of great metrics about your assets. So from a security perspective, I don't have any devices compromised. You can see that I have 2 devices without passcodes. I have 4 devices that are encrypted. You can see that I have 19 devices that are dedicated, and you can have dedicated devices. You can have BYOD devices. Last seen is when the device last checked in or last pinged the AirWatch service. And it breaks it down into days as well. Here I have a breakdown on what platform or OS I'm running, so Android, iOS, Windows Desktop, whether those devices are actually enrolled or not. I even have OS levels for iOS and Android, as well as Windows. But from the dashboard, you get a quick glimpse into your environment and any metrics that you might need to address, like security and device check-ins. But if I go to the list view, I get a more granular look at all my devices. So here's my iPad. You can see it checked in 2 minutes ago. It's an enterprise corporate dedicated device, iOS at this level. But if I click on it, I can get even more detail, and I can see the device isn't compromised. It was enrolled on February 12th. It was last seen 2 minutes ago. And you can see that do not disturb is enabled, and I've enabled that so notifications aren't coming through during the demo. But you can also see apps that are installed. Since this is a corporate device, it has more granular look into what is on the device. If it's a BYOD device, you won't have access to that since it is a personal device. So profiles, so these are the profiles and the restrictions that are assigned to the device. I'll go into that in a minute. I have apps, content. Location is a big one. So as GPS tracking on this device, and you can see last known location, today, yesterday, 2 weeks, month. You can do a custom. So for the past month, if I search that, you can see that the device is all up and down, and you can get a glimpse as to where the device has been. So I can also query the device for a fresh updated look at what metrics are on the device. I can send a message to the device. I can lock it. I can also clear the passcode on the device. I can request a device check-in. I can sync it. I can enterprise wipe it. I can reboot it. So enterprise wipe does not delete, does not fully wipe the device. It just wipes the corporate data off the device. So if I select enterprise wipe, you'll see it'll unenroll the device and remove all managed resources. So this isn't wiping, non-corporate data off the device. And this is the same for BYOD devices. So I can prevent re-enrollment, but I have to enter in my security PIN and you'll see it's successful. And if I switch over here to my iPad, if I get it fast enough, you'll see the applications are being removed. So now I want to re-enroll the device, and so what I'm going to do and now you can see that my iPad is unenrolled. So now I want to re-enroll my device, so I'm going to go to the AirWatch agent, and I'm going to select an authentication method. So you can do it over email address, the server credentials, and so in order to get into my sandbox, I'm going to have to enter the server details. But for users enrolling, all they have to do is type in their email address. Here I'm prompted to log in. Now I'm going to have to install a profile onto my iPad. I'm going to allow. Here's the profile. I select install, type in my passcode, install. Install, trust, done, open. Done. It's going to push me back over to the AirWatch agent. So that is the enrollment. Now I want to go into profiles, and this is where all the restrictions are created and managed for each one of your devices. So here you can see I've pre-built some profiles, and I'll walk through each of these really quickly. So this pushes Office 365 configuration credentials down to the device. This profile restricts the camera access for the device. So here are all of the different payload options I have for the profile. And if you go into restrictions, you can see I've restricted the device functionality of allowing the use of the camera. So I've just simply unchecked that. So if I go back to General and assign this to all devices and then save and publish it, you will see that my iPad is under the device assignment. So if I publish that and then go back, you will see the camera icon here disappear momentarily. And additionally, FaceTime was removed. And if I swipe up from the bottom to Control Center, you will see that I'm not able to view the camera icon from the Control Center as well. Next, this is a pre-built profile that I've created that has a lot of different restrictions. So it disallows the use of the camera, and if I scroll down here, this is where I've removed a bunch of applications. So YouTube, iTunes Music, Game Center, Safari. So I've removed a lot of the pre-built applications for the iPad. So if I go back to General and I assign this to all devices, save and publish, and then again you see the devices that are affected. I publish it, and if I go back to QuickTime, you will see that Safari down there just was removed, in addition to the other apps that were included in that restriction. Finally, iCloud Lock is a feature that restricts the ability to change accounts. So it disallows account modification. So if I assign this, actually prior to me assigning this, if I go over here and show you my iPad, you can see that my iCloud account up here on the top left, I can click on it and access it and such. But if I go over here and assign this restriction with this account modification disabled payload, save and publish it, and confirm the device that I'm assigning it to, and publish and move back, you will see that it just locked me out of the ability to change things in iCloud. So I cannot access account modification right there. So that's a look at profiles. Additionally, the restrictions that you can configure are endless, and this is just for iOS. You can disallow use of iMessage, disallow public apps, disallow app removal. So you can get very granular in the types of restrictions that you can configure. Additionally, there's passcode restrictions. You can get very granular here. Another feature of AirWatch is branding your devices. So if I want to push down, say, a certain branding logo or wallpaper to my devices, I can do that under device settings and say I want to configure it for Apple, iOS, and then manage settings. Here you can see that I've uploaded a lock screen image for my Apple iOS devices, and if I lock my device and turn it back on, you should see that there's the logo that we've pushed down. Additionally, this AirWatch console is brandable, so you can see I have the logo there on the top. I have the login screen, a background, and then once I log in, I have the logo there on the top left. So AirWatch is a fully featured mobile device management application, and Workspace ONE brings together the enterprise security with the consumer simplicity that we're used to in our everyday lives to form a digital workspace. So that is a glimpse of TestDrive, VMware's end-user computing products, Workspace ONE, Horizon VDI, as well as AirWatch. Thanks for your time today. Reach out to me at vmwaretech@aero.com if you have any questions or need any assistance with TestDrive or anything VMware end-user computing. Thank you.